Welcome back to the Ticket Weekend. I'm Karter Longie, hanging out with you all again on a Saturday. Again, you can catch me here every Saturday at 10 a.m. And I'll be talking everything from the NFL to the NBA to the MLB, the college football national landscape, college basketball national landscape, Husker athletics. And then, of course, I end every single Saturday show with a segment that I just call This Week in Sports, where I kind of give you a quick rundown of pretty much every score and every storyline that you should kind of be aware of, from the past weekend, and then also taking a look a little bit ahead at the rest of the year, Saturday or days to come. So, in terms of interacting with me during the show, feel free to comment on the live streams on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitch and subscribe to our YouTube, 93.7 The Ticket. You can find it pretty easily just by searching that up on all those platforms. So go check us out there. The live stream is a really cool added tool that we have here at The Ticket, and take advantage of it. Go look at our beautiful faces. And then we also got the Starter Heyman text line. It's currently 402-999-4620. I know it's a little different than it used to be for a lot of you longtime listeners, or even if you listened within the last couple of weeks. It's typically 402-464-5685. That's still the Honda of Lincoln hotline. But as of now, right now the text line is going to be 402-999-4620. So if you're not watching on the stream and you don't feel like dropping a comment there, feel free to text in the text line as well, and I can answer your question there too. So the first thing I want to start off with today is the NFL, specifically the combine, because I'm a big fan of the combine. I talked about it a little bit this past Thursday. I was doing some fill-in time there in between our weeknight shows and our women's basketball postgame show on Thursday night. And I talked a little bit about it then, but I want to talk about it more because, not everybody had the opportunity to listen on Thursday. And I think it's still really exciting to talk about. So I'm going to talk about it. So first of all, I think we got to mention the Nebraska participants. I mean, Austin Allen, Cam Jurgens, JoJo Domann, and Cam Taylor-Britt are all participants in this year's combine. They're all expected to be, drafted in this year's NFL draft. Right now, I think most of these guys are not really expected to be first-round picks quite yet. Austin Allen, I think, came in as probably a day 2 guy. Cam Jurgens comes in as a day 2 guy. JoJo Domann's probably a day 2 guy. Cam Taylor-Britt, maybe a day 2 guy. Could fall to day 3. I guess we'll kind of have to see how his workouts go. But the only ones who've worked out so far have been Austin Allen and Cam Jurgens, because I'll kind of mention the combine schedule here quick if you don't know it. So first of all, on Friday, we had the O-linemen and the running backs. And then Thursday, I'm not sure why they don't have it listed here, but Thursday was the quarterbacks, tight ends, and wide receivers. So I know that was kind of backwards there. I said Friday first, but Thursday was quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers. That's usually one of my favorite days to watch because I like to see the quarterbacks. Usually those are some of the most intriguing prospects, even though we have a little bit of a weaker quarterback class this year and a little bit of a weaker class in general. I still really enjoy watching that. And then the tight ends and the wide receivers are also fun too, because especially all love the tight ends too, but the wide receivers are probably the most athletic guys typically at the combine, right? So it's always fun to see what kind of physical feats they can achieve with the vertical jump, the 40-yard dash, the broad jump, stuff like that. So that really adds a cool factor to watch. Anyways, getting back to what I was saying here, O-line and running backs were on Friday. The D-line and the linebackers will be today, starting at 4 p.m. So if you want to tune in there, I believe it's all on NFL Network. So if you feel like watching the combine, which I encourage you to watch because it's always a fun event to check out. It starts at 4 p.m. and players will be on the field doing stuff until about 11. I'm not sure if the coverage runs that far, but that's how late they'll be working out. And then finally, the combine wraps up on Sunday with the kickers doing a quick 2-hour workout in the morning, and then the D-backs will start at 2 p.m. And again, the D-backs are similar to the wide receivers. They're very fun to watch because a lot of their draft stock, really depends on how physically gifted they are. The quarterbacks can kind of get away with being a little slower, or if you don't have the greatest arm talent, it's not the end of the world. You can make it up in other areas as a quarterback. Offensive linemen, a lot of theirs is based on a strength and technique. Not that other positions aren't, but I just feel like for wide receivers and defensive backs, they are definitely the positions that the speed and the just pure athleticism, the jumping ability, all that good stuff, that's where it matters the most. So that's why I really enjoy watching that stuff. Back to the Nebraska participants, though. Austin Allen and Cam Jurgens both had very good showings. Specifically, not that Austin Allen wasn't good, because he did have a good day, but Cam Jurgens especially has gained some great national recognition for his performance at the combine. Lots of people were very impressed by his quick twitch movements and his speed and all the good stuff. I mean, I forgot. I guess I didn't write it down here. His 40-yard dash time, I think, was a 4.92. It was initially a 4.91. Unofficially ended up being a 4.92. I believe it's still the second fastest O lineman. I guess I don't think I ever followed up there on a final check of the day, but I know pretty late into the workouts he was still 2. There was one other lineman who ran a 4.89. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I believe Cam Jurgens was the second fastest offensive lineman. So, that was a good start to his day right away. And then he had some really great other drills, just showing off his technique and stuff like that. So Cam Jurgens is a guy we might look at to move up already. And then Austin Allen as well. He looks pretty fast as well. I know, he got some national recognition as well. The Sunday Night Football on NBC Twitter account that many people are probably familiar with tweeted out, 6'7", 253 and moving. So, he looked fast, and I believe he ended up running a 4.82. It was initially and unofficially 4.79, and a lot of people actually thought it was going to be way faster than that, because if you slow down the clip, it looks like he actually crosses the line at about 4.54, 4.55. So yeah, that actually ended up being slower. So they must have started the timer too early or something. Not quite sure what happened there with that kind of mix up. A lot of people were mad though at NFL Network. They thought they got it way on, and that he was a lot faster, but in reality, he was actually slower. So that was a little odd, but I don't know. I guess we'll never really know. I know it's not an exact science. The official time is supposed to be pretty close to an exact science, but it's still partially, human based, and so it's never going to be perfect. But regardless, it was a good showing for both those guys so far. And then of course Jojo Doman should be coming up here at the linebackers. I believe he's working out with the linebackers. I guess there's a small chance that he'd be working out D-backs, but I kind of doubt it. I would have to assume that he'll be with the linebackers today. And then, of course, Cam Taylor-Britt will be up on Sunday. So keep an eye on the Nebraska guys. They all got great chances to, rise up the draft boards. We've already seen Cam Jurgens definitely move up his stock a bit. I'm sure Austin Allen's climbed a couple draft boards a bit. So it's an exciting time. Combine's always great to watch. And again, I encourage you to watch it. As we go along in this Saturday hour, remember, please text in the text line. I like to hear your guys' thoughts. Gives me an opportunity to bring some new, fresh ideas and kind of bounce my ideas off your ideas. So 402-999-4620. It's the current Starter Heyman text line. Again, I know it's a little different than the number we used to have, but for now, feel free to text into 402-999-4620 or call into the Honda of Lincoln hotline, 402-464-5685. Also, feel free to comment on our streams, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Make sure you follow and subscribe there as well. Interaction is kind of everything here. So when we can get some interaction from you guys, the listeners, it really makes our jobs easier. So feel free to text in, not just now, but all the time. So kind of continuing on here with the combine, what we've seen so far, what we can continue to look for, I guess. Iowa State running back Breece Hall had a very strong performance yesterday. I know he's a guy who a lot of people have towards the top of their draft boards. He's probably one on a lot of people's. You have Kenneth Walker as well, who's probably one of the top guys on a lot of people's boards. But the kind of word around on the street was that Breece Hall was very impressive in his combine performance. So he's a guy that we can look to make some moves. Another guy I really want to mention was North Dakota State product Christian Watson. For those of you who don't know, I'm from North Dakota, so it's really cool to see a guy from NDSU go out there and perform. We've seen NDSU be successful. We've seen them put NFL prospects into the NFL. And not even just NDSU too. There's plenty of FCS teams, Division II, Division III teams even, that send guys to the combine, and they move up draft boards so fast because they just don't have that national exposure that these big time FBS guys have. So when they get to go out in front of all the scouts in one unified setting, it gives these guys a fantastic chance to go show off their abilities. And Christian Watson was a guy who many people were impressed with. He had a really good speed. I don't know what his official 40 dash ended up being. 40 time, I guess I should say. I'm not sure exactly what his official time was. I know it was initially a 4.28, but part of the kind of storyline of this year's combine has been how bad the unofficial timing's been. I mean, we saw Austin Allen's was off. I guess it wasn't off as bad as we thought. Tyquan Thornton was a guy who, wide receiver out of Baylor. We thought he broke the 40-yard dash record. They said that he ran a 4.21. previous record was a 4.22 held by John Ross. He set that back in 2017, I believe. And that one was broken after Chris Johnson's stood for quite a while at 4.24. He set that back in 07 or 08, I think. So that one stood for quite a while, but John Ross just broke it in 2017, so it hasn't been too long. And we thought Tyquan Thornton beat it by a 100th of a second, but Tyquan Thornton actually ended up running a 4.28, so that was very far off. I mean, 700ths of a second. I know it doesn't sound like a ton. It doesn't sound like, it's not like it's a full second or anything, but in the 40-yard dash, that's a big gap to kind of mess up there. So not really quite sure what's been up with the unofficial timing this year. I remember in past years of me watching the combine, I don't think I've ever seen it this bad. So I'm not really quite sure what's going on there. Hopefully they'll kind of get it figured out here as the week goes on, so we can get some more accurate times, because people react and they think it's really cool. I mean, we saw, who was it? Chris Olave, I think, ran a fast one of like 4.32, they thought, and then it ended up being slower, like a 4.38. And I already mentioned Tyquan Thornton. I know Christian Watson's, I believe, was initially either a 4.26 or a 4.28. Or no, Olave had a 4.26. I think Watson had a 4.28. Then Olave ended up being 4.3 something. And then again, Christian Watson, I don't know what his official time ended up being, but it's been off by a bit this year. So hopefully they'll get that figured out. Some other wide receivers that made some headlines. Again, some smaller school guys, not terribly small, but lower level. Western Michigan's Sky Moore and Memphis's Calvin Austin III. A couple other guys who ran some pretty quick 40s, showed off some soft hands in the drills, good footwork, crisp routes, stuff like that. So again, you always see wide receivers are some of the biggest movers based on their combine performances. And again, everybody can make big differences, but these guys who rely heavily on their athleticism and their ability to kind of get into solo settings, because during a game it's a lot different for guys like wide receivers. We don't get to see them in it's a lot of planned route running and stuff like that, and it's kind of hard to evaluate them sometimes because they're not all uniform. Those quarterbacks, they all have to drop back every single play. Most of them have the same base fundamentals, so it's a lot more simple to kind of check them out. Same with offensive linemen. Usually they have mostly similar techniques, and we see them in one-on-one situations with a lot of overlapping D linemen, so it's easier to compare. But with wide receivers, obviously you can compare them to some D backs and whatnot, but it's kind of harder to evaluate sometimes, I feel like, during a year. So the combine, and again, it's a great opportunity to see how these guys do. Something else to note, Desmond Ridder ran a 4.52 40 as a quarterback. I believe that's one of the faster ones that we've seen probably all time. I guess I didn't ever look up which number he's actually ranks, but I believe Lamar ran a faster one, and I think Mike Vick ran a faster one. I know it was faster than Marcus Mariota, and Mariota was a guy who was very fast at his time. Back when he was in the combine in 2015, I don't remember what his time was, but I know it was considered fast. I mean, anytime a quarterback runs a sub 4.6, I would assume that's pretty fast. So Desmond Ridder showed off his speed, and he's a guy who I would expect to continue to move up draft boards. I think it needs to be said that although this is generally considered a weak quarterback class, these guys can still play ball. So don't sell this quarterback class too early, because I know that's we've seen some pretty good quarterback classes over the past couple of years. 2017, even the past one, and the past couple of years we've seen some really good quarterback classes. We'll kind of have to see how the 2021 one plays out. It was thought to be a strong quarterback class, but we'll kind of just have to see how those guys actually turn out in the NFL. But it's even though most people kind of are doubting these guys and say that they're weak as a whole, even the draft class as a whole, the 2022 draft class, we've got some speedsters in this class. At wide receiver and D-back, we've got some quarterbacks who can still spin that thing. So pay attention to the combine. If your team has a high draft pick, definitely keep an eye out on who your top prospects are, and it's fun to watch. It's fun to kind of speculate, kind of play out different scenarios on who you can end up with who, and it's a good time to watch, especially you people who like to pay attention to the later rounds of the draft. You're gonna see some guys who are gonna show some flashes and end up being steals in the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds, stuff like that. Last kind of thing I want to hear for the NFL. There's a report that the Cowboys are likely to release wide receiver Amari Cooper. By doing that, they would save $16 million against the cap. I believe they're currently $22 million over, so that would help them out quite a bit, because they're 20 million over, because I believe Amari's contract is right now, if they don't get rid of him, they'll have to pay him $22 million. If they cut him before the 5th day of the new league year, I believe it is, then they only have to pay him $6 million. So that's going to save them $16 million, which would be a huge help for them. And they've got plenty of talent there on the Dallas offense. I think obviously this season didn't quite end the way they wanted it to, but I think Amari Cooper is a guy that they can probably probably afford to cut ties with and going forward. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on as we kind of progress along with the NFL season here. I know I said it on Thursday, but I'll say it again. The NFL offseason is one of the most intriguing things to watch with the combine, the draft, the offseason movement. It's very fun. I mean, I honestly, sometimes I like paying attention to the NFL offseason more than I like paying attention to the NBA regular season until we get closer to the playoffs. Now the NBA season's kind of ramping up a little bit here as teams are fighting for some playoff seeding, but in general, it's usually more exciting and to watch the combine, watch the draft, watch the offseason movement and storylines in the NFL than the NBA regular season, if I'm being completely honest. So keep an eye on all that stuff. We're shaping up to have a good offseason. Moving on here, finishing up here with this first segment with some NBA, MLB, college football, college basketball, stuff like that. NBA storyline I wanted to touch on. Russell Westbrook. He's greatly struggled this season. For those of you who don't know, he's having the worst year of his career, and I don't think it's particularly close. He is not helping a Lakers team who is floundering right now, fighting for a play-in spot, a position that nobody thought they'd be in. He recently had a quote that he's still figuring out his role, and I don't know how he's still figuring out his role. What I think the NBA season's like 60, 65 games in the season, well over the halfway mark. We're probably over the 3/4 mark now. There's only 82 games in the season, so we're over the 3/4 mark now. And if Russell Westbrook still doesn't know his role on this team, I mean, I know Lakers fans already aren't happy, but that's got to just take it to another level. How does your superstar, well, supposed superstar that you thought you were bringing in, all-star that you thought was going to come in and help elevate this team, doesn't even know the role that he has yet, and he doesn't seem to be happy with the role he has yet. I know there were some quotes earlier in the year too from him where he said that he was playing bad because he was spending too much time on the bench and it was like throwing him out of rhythm. Well, it's like you weren't playing good to begin with. That's why you're on the bench. So it's not like he came into the Lakers organization and they said, hey, like, Russell, like we're bringing you in just to be a bench player here, or you can still, like, you'll start the game, but you're not gonna play a lot of minutes. You're gonna have a lot of long stretches of sitting on the bench. You're not gonna play in crunch time. That wasn't the case. They wanted the opposite. They wanted him to be a very good all-star caliber point guard and help elevate this team back to this championship status. And that he just frankly has not been that. He's been a shell of his former self. That's kind of a tongue twister there, but he's been a shell of his former self and just hasn't been effective. And the fact that he still doesn't, he's still figuring out his role is just, it's not a good sign for the Lakers going forward. I wouldn't, honestly, if they drop a few more down the stretch here and they're looking like they're going to be maybe a last seed in the play-in or miss it altogether, I mean, maybe just shut LeBron down. I mean, to in the Western Conference, maybe in the Eastern Conference is a different story if you're the Lakers, but if you were in the Eastern Conference, of course, but in the Western Conference, it's just not gonna go well. If you're in the play-in, it's too long of a stretch in the playoffs for this old aging Lakers team to go through. LeBron's aging, he's not invincible. AD is Anthony Day-to-Day Davis, however you want to say it. It's just not a good look. And I think if you're the Lakers and you want to make another run with LeBron, you probably just shut him down. Honestly, it's getting to that point. I hate saying that because I don't like when I wasn't on that team earlier in the season by any means. I thought that you got to play it out to the end, but at this point, I don't know. LeBron's trying to put this team on his back. He's had multiple huge performances, and they're still not winning. Like, LeBron's dropping like 30+ point games, nearly a triple double with those 30-point games, and he's doing it efficiently, and it's still not enough for this Lakers team to win because they just have such a poor supporting cast and such poor chemistry, and then of course you don't have Anthony Davis there either to kind of make up for it because he's obviously injured, and sometimes when you have a talent like Anthony Davis on the floor, that talent can cover up the issues, but he's not on the floor, so that creates issues. So Lakers is kind of a disaster. Westbrook, I don't know why you still haven't figured out your role, but you better do it soon, buddy. Kind of finished up this first segment here. I'm going to kind of rapid hit these next couple things here. MLB is still in a lockout. Opening day has been pushed back. It will not be on March 31st now. They've canceled the first two series of the season, so we'll go from a 162-game season to a 156-game season, which is really unfortunate. I'm not the biggest MLB fan, but I still enjoy watching it sometimes, especially come playoff time. And it's just really disappointing that they couldn't get this done. There are a lot of MLB fans out there still. And for the MLB, as a league that's losing a lot of young viewers and just viewers in general, this is not a good look. Figure it out. Come to a middle ground with the players. I know people want to make the argument that the players are already rich and they don't need more money, but you got to think these owners are still 15 times more rich probably more than that, than the players. So don't act like the players are, being babies by wanting more money. The owners are way richer than they are, and it's still fair. You gotta earn your fair wage. I mean, they do a very important job, really, in terms of just what they do. It's a very grueling season, and they deserve to be compensated. From what I know, they haven't been real egregious with their asks, but the owners have hardly budged at all on their initial proposals. So figure it out. I know Rob Manfred has taken a lot of heat, deservedly so. He's probably the worst commissioner in American sports. So MLB, just get your stuff together. Going on to college football now, they're going to review the targeting penalty the NCAA is, which is a thank God for me and many others, I'm sure. The targeting rules in college football are egregious, and they need to figure it out. So let's get that fixed quickly. And finally, as I wrap up this first segment, I just want to mention college basketball. I'll talk more about kind of what's going on in college basketball later in this week in sports. But Coach K will coach his final game at Cameron Indoor this evening at 5 p.m. against their arch rival UNC. Tickets are at an average price of like $5,300, I think. So it's going to be crazy. The Cameron Crazies, I'm sure, will be out of their minds. I've never been a big fan of Duke. I didn't really have a hard team, I guess, growing up. Like, I wasn't a diehard fan of any college basketball team, really. But if I had to pick a team, it was probably UNC growing up. So never been a big fan of Duke, but I respect Coach K's greatness. He's, top 2 or 3 coach of all time in college basketball. So, congrats to him on a fantastic career. Obviously, they still have a long way to go here with the ACC tournament and the NCAA tournaments, but this is going to be his last game at Cameron Indoor. Should be a good time for him and all the fans. Again, you're listening to 937 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I'm going to throw it to break here. During the break, feel free to text in on the Starter Heyman text line, 402-999-4620. Let me know your thoughts on the Combine, the NBA, the Lakers, the MLB lockout, college football, college basketball, Husker athletics, whatever it is, let me know. I'll probably talk about it. Again, you're listening to 937 The Ticket, theticketfm.com, and I'll be right back.
At Buffalo Wings and Rings, they've crafted a new league of superior chicken sandwiches. Meet the Ringers. It's premium, house-made, beer-battered, fried chicken served buffalo, Korean, or MVP style. Head to Buffalo Wings and Rings Lincoln and raise a glass to superior chicken. 2 locations at 68th and O and at 40th and Old Cheney. Buffalo Wings and Rings.
I was in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when it happened. There was a sudden jolt and our submarine crashed on the seafloor. We were in total darkness.
That's Dr. Dejana Figueroa, a marine biologist and STEM teacher, talking about a deep sea dive she'll never forget.
It's funny, when I was a kid, I was afraid of the ocean. And there I was, 2 miles below the surface. But as a scientist, you prepare for that. Using our training and a little creativity, we fixed the sub and finished our experiments. The dive was just too important. Every dive gives us glimpses at things few people ever get to see. Glowing creatures, fiery undersea volcanoes. When we got back to the surface, I kissed the ground and called my mom, of course. But you know what? I wouldn't trade that dive for anything.
Dr. Figueroa uses her passion for STEM to discover new things and make the world a better place. She can STEM, so can you. Check out She Can STEM for more stories and inspiration. A message from the Ad Council.
And we're live here outside the Perez family home, just waiting for and there they go. Almost on time this morning. Mom is coming out the front door strong with a double-arm kid carry. Looks like Dad has the bags. Daughter is bringing up the rear. Oh, but the diaper bag wasn't closed. Diapers and toys are everywhere. Ooh, but Mom has just nailed the perfect car seat buckle for the toddler. And now the eldest daughter, who looks to be about 9 or 10, has secured herself in the booster seat. Dad zips the bag closed, and they're off. But looks like Mom doesn't realize her coffee cup is still on the roof of the car. And there it goes. Oh, that's a shame. That mug was a fam favorite.
Don't sweat the small stuff. Just nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are buckled correctly in the right seat for their age and size. Learn more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it? There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Pros, for your next electrical job, start with Lowe's, because whatever wire the job requires, we have the quantities you need in stock and ready to go when you are. Even better, we'll also save you 15% on your next purchase of 10 or more rigid, EMT, and PVC electrical conduit and fittings. Order at LowesForPros.com and pick up in store, where our pro loaders will be ready to load you up so you can get back to the job site faster. Whatever you need to get this job done and the next, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offer valid through 1/26 U.S. only.
Welcome back to Ticket Weekend with Karter Longie. Again, I still don't have a name for the show, I guess, but I'll have to figure that out here quickly. I got a couple suggestions, but nothing's really striked me yet, so I don't want to jump on a name too early. Got to make sure it's the right fit. So I appreciate you all hanging around with me, even though I don't have a name. So again, if you want to text in, let me know your thoughts on anything. Starter Heyman text line is open, 402-999-4620. The Honda Lincoln hotline is also there as well, 402-464-5685. Feel free to comment on our live streams as well, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Make sure you follow on Facebook and Twitch, subscribe on YouTube, and catch all the Tickets fantastic shows that we have going on every weekday, every weeknight. During the weekdays, we've got a regular lineup that comes in every day, of course, but then Ticket Weeknights as well. Make sure you tune into those as well. I produce all those shows, so I'm a big supporter of them. We got lots of student athletes coming in. We got some Nebraska athletic departments, staff, stuff like that, like with Buzzy Carruthers, Priscilla Joseph, Mickey Joseph's wife has a show, Lincoln Stars have a show, stuff like that. So really great programming on Ticket Weeknights as well. So make sure you tune into all that stuff as well. Moving to my second segment here, I'm going to talk about some Husker athletics. So first of all, I'll get the two I'm going to spend less time on out of the way first. So Husker athletics, moving into men's basketball. They have 2 Big Ten wins in a row, both on the road. The second one comes against number 23, Ohio State. They play number 10, Wisconsin on Sunday, which is tomorrow. I believe I'm going to be attending the game. That's still my plan at the moment, so that's going to be exciting. I think I'm probably going to take off for Wisconsin actually after the show. So that should be a great game to go attend. I know Wisconsin actually declared themselves the Big Ten champions already, which is interesting because I don't know if they're technically the Big Ten champions yet. I know they've definitely secured the co-champions, but I think if Nebraska pulls off the upset and Purdue wins, wins what I don't remember if who Purdue plays or when, but if Purdue wins their last game of the season, and Wisconsin loses, I think they're co-champ still based on all the tiebreakers and stuff like that. So I'm not sure kind of what the deal is there. That's just what I saw on Twitter. I'm pretty sure Wisconsin is not the outright Big Ten champions yet. So we'll kind of see what happens there. But I'll say this about the men's basketball team. It feels good to see them play some good basketball. Their senior night against Iowa, their last home game. Obviously, we're not a fan of moral victories. We'd like to see them win. We're kind of it's college basketball. We don't need to see moral victories, but they were competitive and it seemed like they had some want to win against Iowa at least. And then that translated when they went on the road. They went on the road to Penn State, got to win in Happy Valley. Penn State isn't the cream of the crop in the Big Ten this year by any means, but it's still not an easy place to play. So it was big for them to go in there and get a win. Then they go right to Ohio State in Columbus. They go into Columbus and pick up a ranked win. And I believe it's the first one since 2019, I want to say. I don't really know what the stat is on how many we have on our Fred Hoiberg. I don't know if that's the first one or the second one. And I know it's the first time we've won consecutive Big Ten road games in a while as well. So very exciting for them to kind of pull off a couple wins here. It's obviously, I know this team's been very, very bad all season long, and they've been nothing but disappointment for the most part. But as a fan, just kind of appreciate what we have right now. Just the women's team's been very good, and the men's team has rattled off a couple wins now. So just kind of live in the moment. Don't focus so much on some of the negative that we've seen earlier this season. Let's just kind of enjoy it. Let the players enjoy it. And it should be a good time here as we close out the season. The Big Ten tournament for the men's team starts on Wednesday, March 9th. They'll most likely be the 14th seed. They might end up playing Penn State again in the first round. We'll kind of see how everything shakes out. Maybe Maryland. I'm not exactly sure how the seeding is probably going to shake out there. We'll have to see how these last couple games of the regular season go. I believe they still have a chance at the number 13. I believe. I think Kobe Webster and CJ Wilcher come in here on Ticket Weeknights for the truth. And I think Kobe may have said that if they knock off Wisconsin and Minnesota loses their last game of the season, they actually might flip-flop and Nebraska gets the 13, I believe, in that situation. So, I don't know how much of a difference that makes because they still have to play that first round kind of play-in type game anyways. But it's still a higher seed and a little bit of a confidence boost regardless. But don't be surprised if the men's basketball team goes into the Big Ten tournament, wins a game, maybe even two, because they're playing good basketball right now, and you want to play your best basketball through the end of the season, and that's what they're doing. So good for them, and good for the fan base right now that they've picked up a couple wins. Let them enjoy it. Let yourself enjoy it. Baseball. They're on a road trip right now in Texas and Kansas from March 4th, which is yesterday. That's when their first game of the road trip started, and their last game of the road trip will come on March 8th. They're playing Northwestern State, UT Arlington, and K-State. Then they'll return home on March 11th to play Long Beach State, their first home series of the year. So that'll be exciting. Then, in regards to this team, they're still kind of finding their footing here. They haven't been stellar by any means so far this season. I believe their record's at 2-7 on the year. I'm going to fact check that real quick, and I'm correct. It is 2-7 right now. They started off the year at St. Houston, and they went 1-3 in that series, and then they lost all three against TCU, got swept. TCU is number 17 in the country, but we definitely expected more out of this baseball team to start the year. But again, I've been saying it, the past 2 weeks. Don't overreact to this baseball team yet. I know you've had a lot of heartbreak in your Husker men's athletics lately, but don't give up yet. This team is still very skilled. They're still the reigning Big Ten champs for a reason. They were picked to win the Big Ten for a reason. Still a lot of talent here. I know it hasn't been ideal, but they'll get there eventually. Northern teams always start off worse than Southern teams, so I'm not going to freak out yet. Although I will admit it hasn't been encouraging thus far. They did beat Northwestern State yesterday morning 2-0. And then they unfortunately struggled against UT Arlington. Well, really only in the last inning. They were up 3-0 heading to the bottom of the ninth. And unfortunately, UT Arlington was able to put up 4 in the bottom of the ninth and ended up winning. I believe we were up 1. It was 3-2 with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth. And we just couldn't get the job done. Couldn't finish it out. So ended up losing that one 4-3, blew a 3-0 lead in the bottom of the ninth. So that was unfortunate. But, they still got to finish out this road trip. They played a day. I believe they play pretty soon, actually, 11 a.m. So, yeah, right as this show finishes up, they'll be playing Northwestern State. So go tune into the Huskers Radio Network to catch that one. So they'll have another doubleheader today with Northwestern State and UT Arlington, and then they'll finish up on the 8th. That's Tuesday with Kansas State, and then they head home. So continue to support the baseball team. They should be better, soon. I think they're still just finding their footing, and they're going to be all right. But now let's move into our most positive sport that we have right now, and the one that's really gaining a lot of traction is very exciting right now. The women's basketball team. They've been exciting all year. They've brought us hope all year. They've brought us entertainment all year. They're a fun team to watch. They've fought through adversity, and here they are in the Big Ten tournament heading to the semifinals. So kind of a recap here of the Big Ten tournament. It started on Wednesday. On Wednesday, we saw number 14 defeat Illinois. Number 14, Illinois defeat number 11, Wisconsin, 75-66. Then we saw 13 Rutgers defeat 12 Penn State, 75-50. Then Thursday, that was when we saw teams like Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana. Those teams all got into action on Thursday. So we saw Indiana, who's the 14th ranked team in the country, actually, but they're the 5 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They defeated Rutgers 66-54. Michigan State, the 8, beat Purdue, the 9, 73-69. Northwestern, the 7, defeated Minnesota, the 10, 65-60. And finally, Nebraska defeated Illinois 92-74 in a 6v14 matchups. So it was all chalk on Thursday. Then yesterday on Friday, we saw about half and half here. Number 13 in the country, but the first overall seed in the Big Ten tournament, Ohio State defeated Michigan State. Again, they were the 8 seed, 74-58. The 12th ranked team in the country, but 2 in the Big Ten tournament, Iowa defeated 7 Northwestern, 65-60. Number 6, Nebraska. That's our team, obviously. Very exciting. They knocked off Michigan. Michigan's the 10th ranked team in the country, actually. They're the third seed in the Big Ten tournament, but Nebraska knocked them off, 76-73. So that was a very, very big win. And then rounding it out here, 14th team ranked in the country, 5th in the Big Ten, Indiana defeated number 11, 4th in the Big Ten, Maryland, 62-51. So that's the semifinal matchups of Ohio State versus Indiana today at 2:30 p.m. Iowa versus Nebraska at 5 p.m. Let's kind of backtrack here for a moment. Nebraska beating Michigan 76-73. For those of you who listen to our postgame show after the Illinois game, Nick and I were talking about how Nebraska has a very realistic shot to win this Big Ten tournament. Nick and I both thought that if they could win their side of the bracket, they could win the whole tournament. And they're still on their way to doing that. The quarterfinal was the first. I mean, obviously they're only the second match of the tournament, but it's also their first matchup that they've had in a while where they haven't been the favorite coming in. So it was a big game. Obviously, it could help improve their seeding quite a bit if they won this one and potentially win a couple more here. Coming into the tournament, most people had them slotted at a 7 seed. Nick and I talked about we thought that they could probably improve to a 4 seed if they end up winning the whole thing. With the win against Michigan, that might already bump them to a 6. Again, Michigan's the 10th ranked team in the country and a very, very solid team. They are 3rd in the Big Ten for a reason. So Nebraska pulling this off was big. And Nebraska didn't play their best game. I mean, they played well. Obviously, you got to play well to beat Michigan, but you didn't see the star performances like we saw in past games. Jazz Shelley only went for 12 points, 4 assists, and 2 rebounds, 3 turnovers. So nothing super spectacular from her, to be honest. I mean, she went for 32 the other night and pretty much willed them to victory. Not that they really probably needed her to against Illinois, but she was remarkable the other night. She broke the Nebraska single game 3-point record. She tied the Big Ten tournament game 3-point record, and she was amazing. But last night she wasn't quite as lethal. So we had to get some performances from other people. So who's the next person you look to? Probably Alexis Markowski, right? Well, she only had 4 points. She didn't make a field goal. She had 4 free throws. She did pull in 9 boards, which were big, but she also had 4 turnovers. So Alexis Markowski, Jazz Shelley are 2 biggest performers all year long. Had some very subpar games. He's probably one of Markowski's worst games of the season, if we're being honest. I mean, not an ideal time, and hopefully she gets back on track. But if we're just we got to call it how it is. Probably not our best showing here. But we did get good performances from Allison Widener and Sam Hybe. Each of them made 6 shots from the floor. Widener took 14, Hybe took 13. Widener knocked down a couple 3-pointers. They both were pretty efficient from the free throw line. Allison Widener only went 2 for 2, but Hybe was 4 for 5. Looking down the line here further, Widener pulled in 3 boards, 3 assists. Hybe 4 boards, 4 assists. They combined for 6 turnovers, which is an ideal. Let's see, 17 turnovers as a team. So that's a problem. They gotta clean that up. But they prevailed, and that's what counts. We saw Annika Stewart. She had a good game off the bench. In just 10 minutes, she got 12 points on 5 of 6 from the field, 3 boards from them as well. So really, really, big performance from her coming off the bench, a very efficient performance. We saw Bella Cravens put in 6 from the bench. We saw Michael Caton, add 5. So got some help from the bench players, and that's really what counted. On the game, Nebraska shot 51% from the field, 47.1% from 3, 81.8% from the free throw line. So at least the free throw shooting was a little bit improved. Again, Nick, DP, and I have all talked a little bit about how they need to shoot better from the free throw line going forward in this Big Ten tournament. They had a very slow second quarter. I know that's kind of just random that I said that, but just looking at this quarter here, Nebraska was up 26-14 after the first, and then they only scored 6 points in the second quarter. So they went into the half down, I believe. So 36-32 was the halftime score. So they bounced back and got it done in the second half. And, they kind of got lucky, to be honest. Michigan had a very poor shooting night. I mean, some of that probably has to do with Nebraska's defense. Michigan shot just 43% from the field, 25% from 3. They were 90% from the free throw line, though. Michigan had less turnovers. They had more points off turnovers. They had more rebounds. They had more second chance points. They had more points in the paint. So if you would just looked at some of those numbers, I mean, other than the field goal percentages, Michigan looks pretty good, but Nebraska found a way to pull it out, and that's what counts. So now they look forward to Iowa. Iowa's a team who they played earlier in the season without Jazz Shelley. She was in health and safety protocols, but they still gave them a pretty good test. So it's going to be a big time game, and we'll see if Nebraska can get it done. But that's going to do it for the second segment here. You'll listen to 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. Feel free to text on the text line 402-999-4620. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on the live streams, Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube, all that good stuff. But we'll be right back, and then coming up in the third segment, our final segment, we're going to do This Week in Sports, where I'll give you all the biggest scores and headlines from the past week in sports. Again, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. I'll be right back.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Are you tired of lousy internet and faceless customer service? It's time to experience local, honest, hassle-free, and exceptional. That's the Allo Promise. We not only provide crazy fast fiber internet, crystal clear TV, and dependable phone service, but we choose to become a part of the communities that we serve and love when everyone calls or stops by our store to say hello. So don't settle for mediocre, settle for exceptional with Allo. Visit us at allofiber.com/local.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
And I've told you that Dan Billy Waldrop story where back when you could talk to the players one-on-one, we were just BSing after a practice, and I just said, "Hey, so where you living?" He goes, "Well, I live over on right off Holdridge Street." I go, "You like it over there?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I'm walking distance from the Dairy Queen."
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Here's to days spent roaming, and to sleeping beneath the stars, to casting another line and letting time float by. From Shadron State Park to Indian Cave State Park and every recreation area, historical, and state park in between. Here's to your adventures, your memories. Here's to 100 years of your Nebraska State Parks. Plan your next trip today at nebraskaparks100.org. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something. Something serious. I know you love me. I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to 97 Ticket, theticketfm.com. You're watching, I guess, just Ticket Weekend with Karter Longie right now until I come up with the name for the show. So far today we've kind of talked about the NFL Combine. We've talked about Russell Westbrook still not knowing his role with the Lakers somehow. Talked a little bit about the MLB lockout. The college football will be reviewing the targeting penalty, which is a sigh of relief to all fans. Hopefully they change something up there. Coach K will coach his final game at Cameron Indoor this evening, 5 p.m. versus UNC. Talked a little bit about Husker athletics, about how fans need to just enjoy the fact that we have a basketball team, a men's basketball team who's won a couple of games now, and not focus so much on where's this been all season. I understand that it's easy to focus on where has this been all season, and I kind of feel that way as well. But at the end of the day, we still need to just kind of appreciate the fact that they did finally kind of put it together here as we head into March, and it's the best time to play their best basketball. Talked about how the Husker baseball team is struggling, but just give them time to find their footing. I know it hasn't been encouraging, and it is taking a little longer than I thought, but at the end of the day, it's still a long season. There's still a lot of games to be played, and let's not overreact too much at a slow start. And then the women's basketball team, they've been solid all year for us. They improved to 24-7 as they knocked off Michigan, the number 10 team in the country, the number 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament, to advance to the semifinal. And now they've got a date with our border rival Iowa this evening at 5 p.m. So tune into that game, check it out, and hopefully we pull off another win. So kind of going through our This Week in Sports. Got about, let's see here, about 3.5 minutes here, or maybe 4-ish. So I'll try and kind of go through this a little bit quickly. John Morant hit a ridiculous buzzer beater on this past Monday against the Spurs as the Grizzlies went on to win 118-105. For those of you who didn't see it, definitely go look at it because, Steven Adams took it out, threw a full court pass. It was towards the end of a half, so I know it's not like it was for the win, but he threw a full court pass. John Morant caught it in midair on the baseline, short corner, threw it up, and it went in. It was ridiculous. It was one of the best last-second shots I think I've ever seen in my life. It was crazy. So if you want to see that clip, definitely encourage you to go check it out. It was insane. College basketball, number 3 Baylor down to number 21 Texas, 68-61 on Monday. Continuing with some college basketball here on Tuesday, TCU upset number 6 Kansas. Again, Nebraska upset 23 Ohio State. Number 10 Wisconsin down to number 8 Purdue. Chucky Hepburn, the Omaha product, knocked down a huge bucket at the end of the game to pretty much give Wisconsin the win. So that was great to see Chucky hit a shot. I still would have liked to see him in a Nebraska uniform, but it's whatever, not a big deal. But congratulations to Chucky and Wisconsin for winning that big game against Purdue. And then number 11 Villanova took down number 9 Providence. So a lot of big ranked matchups have been happening over the past couple weeks here as we wind down this college basketball season. A lot of tournament games with tournament implications as we kind of head into the conference tournaments here. Looking at the NBA again here now on Tuesday night, Jason Tatum and Trae Young, along with Steph Curry and Karl Anthony Towns, all go for 30-point performances as the Celtics and T-Wolves pick up wins. Moved into Wednesday now, number 18 UConn and number 25 Alabama both got upset by Creighton and Texas A&M. Creighton upset UConn, A&M over Bama, of course, in their conferences. Back to the NBA. Tyler Hero and Giannis both turn in big performances, 30 points plus from each of them, I believe, as the Bucks beat the Heat in a big Eastern Conference matchup. The Bucks really made a good run this week as they really improved some of their seeding in the Eastern Conference. I believe they're still currently at third, but they're kind of closer now than they were earlier in the week to the top dogs. So moving on here, on Thursday's action, Kevin Durant returned to action after injury, putting up 32 points against the Heat. However, it wasn't enough as the Nets went on to lose 113-107. I talked a little bit about the fact that the Nets have got to figure something out here quickly because they're dropping too far for, I'm sure, many Nets fans' likings in the standings, and they're going to have to figure it out here quickly. I know that they can still be dangerous as a playoff team as long as they get in, but right now they're in danger of not getting in. They're still in a play-in position, I believe. I'm going to go check the NBA standings real quick. They're still currently at an 8 seed, but that's not. I would not want to be in a play-in situation. I know it probably doesn't make it easier for the 1 seed either. If the Nets are, or the 2 seed, they potentially have to play the Nets in the first round of the playoffs. That's not be great as they get Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Ben Simmons. Once they all get healthy and ready to go, that'll be big. But that the Nets got to figure it out here quickly. I can't say it enough. They got to start putting some wins together. Luka Doncic turns in another big performance, 41, 10 rebounds, 9 assists as the Mavs beat the Warriors 122-113. The main reason I want to bring this up was because I feel like enough people aren't talking about the Mavs and Luka Doncic as an MVP candidate. He's been very good again this year, as he has been in past years, and honestly, he should probably be getting more MVP recognition than he usually does. So that's something to keep an eye on. The Bucks down the Bulls 118-112 on Friday to even up their records. They're each at 39-25 now, behind a big game from Giannis. He had 34, 16, and 5. There's a big game today between the Sixers and Heat. A lot of Eastern Conference playoff implications. College basketball, 14 Arkansas takes on number 13 Tennessee, 21 Texas versus 5 Kansas, and 16 USC versus 17 UCLA. That's all going on today. So lots of great college basketball matchups. And then also, finally, I just saw Zion Williamson, after rehabbing in Portland, will be back with the team in New Orleans. So, I believe I talked about that a little bit last week or earlier this week, that the whole Zion situation is kind of odd, but hopefully they're getting it figured out. This has been Ticket Weekend with Karter Longie. I'll be back again next Saturday, 10 a.m., 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com. See you later.
These days, there are more reasons than ever to treat yourself to a great haircut at Great Clips with the online check-in app. So tell us,